Hi, this is Justin. Thank you for downloading and listening to the J&J Talk Show. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast wherever you listen or favor our show on Spotify app or Facebook. You can also listen to live on YouTube at the J&J Talk Show. Welcome back here on the Tuesday morning of the J&J Talk Show. My name is Justin. And wherever you guys are at, wherever you guys are listening to, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, thank you. Welcome in. And I hope everyone's having a good day. Good week so far. We had some football going on early yesterday. And while we get underway here, I got a good show for you today, hopefully. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think. If I haven't said something. NFL deadline coming up here. We'll talk about that. Chiefs and Giants game as well. A couple of trade deadlines as well. Some highlights. Some key players out for the week. Also, game 6 of the World Series begins tonight as well. And a couple other things going on in the Major League Baseball as CBA approaches December 1st. Before we get into sports, I'd like to give a quick shout out to StreamYard, the studio that we put our podcast out to you and how you guys listen to. Go to StreamYard. StreamYard is live streams made simple. StreamYard.com for more information on that. Also like to go ahead and give a quick shout out to PlaySit. Thank you to our new entrants there. Could get a couple of videos coming up here as well. PlaySit, create your mock-ups, logos, videos. Go to PlaySit. PlaySit's by Envato. Also by Epidemic Sound. All the music in the background is licensed through Epidemic Sound. Discover world-class composers, artists, and bands. Find your perfect track and give your social accounts the music they deserve. Go to epidemicsound.com for more information. And I also want to invite you over to our merchandise shop. Go to merch.streamelements.com/JJ Talk Show. That is where we have all of our merchandise. It will be getting updated here soon. So all the stuff that you see available on the merchandise shop, get it while supplies last. Once I take it down, it will not be available again. So we're back in here on a Tuesday morning. Thank you guys for tuning in. I have a decent, show for you today. And, last night was not the best night of sports. Let's rephrase that because it wasn't that bad. I don't know what you guys were tuning into, whether it was baseball, not baseball, I'm sorry. Whether it was Monday Night Raw, which yet again, they did everything in the books but promote Survivor Series. Okay, I don't have all my. Yeah, and listen, Survivor Series, what, scheduled to be on November 21st, 2021. There's no promotion. I watched, well, I mean, I didn't hear it. I didn't watch it. I I was talking to somebody last night who gave me some insights on Monday Night Raw, and he watches it all the time. And he was like, there's no promotion. They're promoting WrestleMania because tickets go on sale in a couple weeks. They're not promoting Survivor Series. Now, I don't know what's going on. I mean, the only promotion that I saw was back at Crown Jewel a couple, 2 weeks ago. Back when when they promoted Raw versus SmackDown, right? The battle of the brands. And we talked about on earlier J&J Talk Show's podcast, we talked about a couple of the storylines. And one of the big storylines to air here is Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair as the two women's, champions. You would have thought that that title exchange that was a couple weeks on SmackDown would have been enough to be like, okay, listen, we will go ahead and run with that. And they should. I thought the WWE should run with that. I mean, it's set up perfectly to run with that. You had Charlotte Flair, who dropped the title. It went viral, this whole feud between Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair. And I'm just going to paint you a little image here and let me know what you guys think. So after the incident 2 weeks ago on Friday, where Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch had to exchange titles, and it didn't go as well, but it got a big pop out of it. I told you, listen, Becky Lynch should have been on, Charlotte Flair should have been on Raw and should have been attacking or ambushing Becky Lynch. And then on Friday night, last Friday, it should have been the return favor. That was the greatest storyline in front of you, in front of the WWE, that sat there and they handed it to you on the silver platter. And the longer you procrastinate this, and the longer you procrastinate promoting Survivor Series, I don't need a video to tell me that Survivor Series is coming up in a couple weeks. I don't need a promotional video. The only promotional video I want coming out of Survivor Series coming up in a couple weeks is maybe The Rock returning, if he is to return, celebrating 25 years in the WWE. For me, okay, so you started off with that. Last week should have been Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch. I anticipated WWE doing something tonight or last night. I expected or anticipated WWE where maybe the Bloodline, Roman Reigns, made his appearance on Raw and focused on Survivor Series. That for me is something. I mean, you need to convince me that Survivor Series in 3 weeks is a pay-per-view that is going to take my time and I'm going to want to watch it. I got other things to do. Holidays is right around the corner. Thanksgiving, hopefully get family in. You're doing family events. You need to convince me through your product to watch, to take time to watch. And instead of promoting Survivor Series, they're trying, and it just looks, this is the way I look at things. They're trying to separate the brands further and trying to get storylines for the brands. And what I mean by that is that everyone that's on Raw is focusing about themselves on Raw. You got Becky Lynch and Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair started kicking things off on Raw. You have the new number one contender, Seth Rollins, on Raw, who is trying to go after Big E when they really should be promoting Big E versus Roman Reigns. I mean, unless you're going to hand over the title to Seth Rollins, which I don't see happening. And then on SmackDown, what you got, you're trying to put, you have now this feud between Zelina Vega, or not Zelina Vega, I'm sorry, with Shotzi and Sasha Banks. You had Zelina Vega and Carmella team up last night to face Nikki ASH and Rhea Ripley. You should have yourself, if you got Rhea Ripley and Nikki ASH competing, and if they're going to compete at Survivor Series, it needs to be against a SmackDown Women's Tag Team. So I don't know. I mean, they haven't promoted. It's supposed to be a Raw versus SmackDown brand battle of the brands, and they haven't promoted a single match for that. And when you're promoting this type of content, I think fans are going to enjoy. Because I mean, I'm enthusiastic about watching this pay-per-view because this is the type of time of the year where you have both Raw and SmackDown face each other. Who is better? Right now, SmackDown is having the better ratings. They had the better product. They had the better show. So Raw is trying to reverse themselves. So maybe this is a whole way to get Raw back on the board, and how much of an improvement and how much of a statement will this be if Raw comes into Survivor Series? What about the 10-man elimination match, tag match, right? 5 men from Raw, 5 men from SmackDown. And then same thing on the women's side, where they have elimination. Are they not having that this year? Don't you start qualifying? I mean, I'm kind of tired of sitting there and saying, okay, you're going to have Happy Corbin name 5 people from SmackDown. I'm not buying it. You need to earn your opportunity to represent your brand. Very disappointed in the WWE last night. Hopefully, we head into NXT tonight with the aftermath of NXT 2.0 and Halloween Havoc last week. I'm excited to see what's going on. Obviously, what's the next step for NXT and Halloween Havoc? The War Games coming up hopefully later on this month. Maybe we'll see. So I don't know. I mean, you got 3 weeks left. You got your next shows on SmackDown. At what point do you start working on the brands? It's going to be fun to talk about it on this week's episode of the J&J Talk Show. I got home last night and I tuned on the Giants and Chiefs game. And I tuned in on right when the Chiefs were about to win. And they won 20-17 over the Giants in a Sunday showdown. You hear that? Yeah. Yeah, hear this correctly, because I'm talking about the Chiefs beating the Giants 20-17. Deserving a round of applause for them. I find this interesting. I went back and I looked at the highlights for the game, and I wasn't. Oh man, I got no thought process to this. You got the Giants is. I mean, I don't know what. I mean, we're really not seeing a Chiefs team that was dominating their league over the last couple of seasons, and it feels like, I know that the defense have been struggling a lot. They've been really having some really big issues, and it kind of just rolls off to the offense, and so. I don't know. I mean, for a Monday Night Football game, the score wise, I don't think it disappointed. But when you look at the caliber and what the Chiefs are behind, obviously they haven't been playing to their standards or expectations this season. Um, but I really anticipated the Chiefs being at home, you know, kind of spreading the points out a little bit more. I kind of anticipated maybe like a 30-17 win. Um, and it leads me into this struggle that they're going to have coming up this Sunday when they have to face the Packers, which kind of leads me into another situation, another conversation here, because football now is any given Sunday. I heard that slogan earlier this week, and it has to be right. I think the slogan for NFL this year is any given Sunday. We just saw the Jets who beat the Bengals earlier this week, or back on Sunday. The Jets, who were not favored whatsoever, the Bengals, who were playing well. There was a lot riding on that, for the Bengals, and then they end up dropping the game to the Jets, in the last second. You got the Eagles putting up 44 points. We talked last week on Thursday Football Day, where we didn't know what type of Patriot team are we going to see this season, or this week. It's 1 week they're up, 1 week they're down, and they go out and they beat the Chargers. And then the Seahawks look like the powerful Seahawks like they've always been. And then the Saints upset the Buccaneers. Gronkowski leaving earlier on in the game. So there was just a lot of good things, bad things. Packers beating the Cardinals. Overall, I mean, but it's really any given Sunday, and that's let me be honest, because I like the unpredictability in the NFL this year. One thing that I've complained about over the last years is when teams are going to go in and win and they just absolutely dominate. To see the Saints, by the way, with that breaking news, uh, with the Saints beating the Buccaneers, Tom Brady giving up an interception, throwing an interception in the middle of the game, or at the end of the game, to lose the game. And they end up losing. Jameis Winston is going to be out for the rest of the remainder of the year. And we'll get into that a little bit more. And the Saints still found a way to pick up a victory over the Buccaneers. When you probably without Drew Brees, and I don't want to discredit what the Saints and what they've done, but without Drew Brees, right? Who I think played a good, he kept the team together for the most part, but for the Saints to come in and beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when you probably utterly knew that the Buccaneers should have won. Hey, and I think it goes through, throughout the other games. The Bills look terrible, but yet again, they pulled off a victory. The Steelers finally get back on the right track. And then we're leaving with the Browns. I know that they're dealing with some injuries. You have, like you said, the Eagles winning, not just winning. 44-6 is not just a win. And then the Bengals losing, I felt like that was a big failure. But football has become any given Sunday. The NFL has become any given Sunday. Coming into this week, you just don't know who you're going to pick. Talking about this week while we're on this show, let me just give you a quick shout out. We have the NFL picks coming up here this Thursday. Join Justin, myself, and Trey, where each and every Thursday I go on the air and we select picks on who we think is going to win each and every game. If you want to play along, please feel free to do so. Head over to our Facebook page at the JJ Talk Show. Follow the page, scroll down, and find our picks. I'll be posting them up a little later on today. And play with us. And I'll give you an update of where we're at on Thursday. Any given Sunday. Now, talking about some news in the NFL side of things here. Jameis Winston will be out for the remainder of the season, toward his ACL and MCL. New Orleans Saints quarterback, a huge deficit after a very impressive victory that the Bengals or that the Saints picked up. And right when you think you could do better, I don't know. Trade deadline is here, coming up here today. Today is the last day for NFL teams to trade their opponents away, and they've already made some impact. There's already been some impactful trades and signings. Before we go over those things, I kind of want to just retouch base for Sunday's statement here. Back when Calvin Ridley announced that he is stepping away from the NFL. He missed 2 games over this season so far. He missed the second game back with the Jets, back against the Jets when they went to London. He's dealing with mental issues and taking a mental health away from the game. And I said this on Sunday, and I will say this again. Maybe 10 years ago, people will the heads. And when I say the heads, I'm talking about those people who report nothing but NFL, those main reporters in the NFL that report NFL. Those heads sit there and they will probably tell Ridley, hey, you need to suck it up and go out there and play. That was a decade ago, maybe. I give credit. Okay, Calvin Ridley, I didn't follow too much of your career. I know that this is a huge loss, but listen, man, take care of yourself. I can't condone you enough on how well the fact that you come out and you say that, hey, I'm having a problem. And in order for me to play and be the player that you want me to be and to be the player that the fans want me to be, that I have to take some time. It is hard. Okay. We see this in all of sports, baseball, football. We see this in professional wrestling. We've even seen this, this even happens in the military, where whatever you're doing takes a physical, mental, and emotional state out of you, and it can screw you up. It can mess you up big time. When you're so focused and invested into that, whatever you're doing, that you have to, that you are dealing with some issues, and, everyone wants you, if a lot of people are afraid. Hey, if I'm taken out of the game, will I ever be portrayed the same again? Well, you know what? No. Today, let's look at today. It's important. I'd rather see Ridley take a few weeks off than to see something traumatic happen. And, prime example. And, it's not, we've seen it throughout the years. And it could cause a lot of stress down the road. So I condone, because it's a very sensitive subject, and it's not just a sensitive subject, but it's a very emotional subject. It's a very difficult subject to come out. And I know already a player did it also. He announced on offensive lineman, I don't know the name. He also announced that he was dealing with some issues, missed a couple of weeks in the season. But listen, The trouble part is to come out for it because you're afraid of what the reaction is going to be. But this is your body. So I give you, listen, Calvin, uh, you know, thank you for coming out. You take care of yourself because I want to see you back in here, but I want to see you back in here when you're healthy, right? Because if you think about it, if you're not at a mental healthy state, just imagine hurting yourself or hurting another player on the field. So, thank you, Kelvin. Kelvin, I hope you take as much time as you need. If that means you got to play you can't play the rest of the season, do what you need to do. I will not bash on you in any way. And when you could come back, if you want to come back, come back healthy and come back stronger. So I do want to touch base because it doesn't give it enough credit where credit's due. And just hopefully, you just kind of start imagining some other players having the same way, not necessarily on the same team, but how many other players are dealing with mental issues or having some sort of problems that they're pushing off to the side because football is apparently more important than health. No sport's important to health. I don't care what sport it is. I don't care what position you're at. If you're Tom Brady, I don't care. If you're Tom Brady and you're having mental health issues, you need to step away. We start going into the NFL trade deadline. That's today. And the trade deadline is today. And there's some big things already popping up here as of Monday. And that's just Monday news. Now, that's all I'm covering right now are Monday news here when it comes down to some of these sports, especially in the NFL. You have NFL deadline today, and some big names has already been out. Just like the signing of Adrian Peterson to the Tennessee Titans. A big, big trade. And I tell you this because Derrick Henry is also out with the season ending injury. One of the best receivers for Derrick Henry, one of the best receivers for the Titans in all of sports. He's a big loss, a huge loss in the circumstance. So you have Adrian Peterson filling in. And I like this trade here. This is not, I like this signing. Let's continue. We got another one. Denver Von Miller got traded to the Los Angeles Rams. Here's another blockbuster deal. I think this is the biggest blockbuster deal of the entire trade scenario. Now, I know other trades are scheduled to take place today. I know that Deshaun Watson wants out of Houston. Where will he be at? Obviously, it's a lot better to cover this when it's all said and done. I know the Steelers are trying to trade a unhealthy Melvin Ingram. I don't know who they're going to trade it to. There's still a lot of questions and a lot of answers to be done today, obviously. But as a last trade, this is the most active trade deadline I've seen all season long. Well, actually, in my entirety of watching the NFL. I've always seen a lot going on in football. I've seen a lot of trades going on or in baseball, right? At that trade deadline, baseball has a lot of things going on. But we got a huge one, Von Miller being traded to the Los Angeles Rams. And all they're really giving up is 1 day's worth of picks of next season. So Von Miller, welcome Welcome to LA. And this is now maybe my question. All right, listen, how much will this now impact the Rams? Adding a key player to your defense when you already have Aaron Darnold? It's good to be an LA fan. It's good to be a Rams fan, nonetheless a Los Angeles fan, especially since the Dodgers blew it in the World Series. Trade deadline ends today. We will keep you updated and come back on Thursday with more information, whatever comes about. Now we're into the big talks here. That's football out of the way for you. Because now we got Game 6 of the World Series with you tonight. Atlanta Braves and the Houston Astros. Atlanta Braves lead the Astros 3-2 as they head into Game 6 tonight in Minute Maid Park. They're back in Houston. And it starts tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I was kind of reading it earlier this morning. Games to be played in November doesn't necessarily happen all that often. It's actually happened a lot more this past 10 years than it's happened also and everywhere else. And that is because every game goes to Game 5, goes to every series maxes out at game 7 games. And today and tomorrow will be no less. Game 6 is tonight, where Max Fried will take on Luis Garcia. And there was I got to be honest with you. I'm kind of nervous if you're the Braves. I'm a little nervous on how the season is going to finish off. Because you have I'm kind of nervous of how this is going to finish off. Because you have Atlanta looking to clinch tonight. You have Atlanta looking to clinch their first title victory since 1995, and Houston's hoping to force a Game 7. While Houston has been playing the entire postseason without Lance McCullers, you have the Atlanta Braves who don't have Charlie Morton after he broke his leg in game 1. So Max Fried is on short rest. Ian Anderson scheduled for the mound tomorrow if it's a forced Game 7. The Braves don't want that. The Braves, let's look at what the Braves have had to overcome. Because the Braves had to overcome losing after being a 3-1 lead last season to the Dodgers in the NLCS. They had a 3-1 lead, and then they dropped it to the Dodgers. They had the same hurdle this season. Unfortunately, on the bright side of things, they prevailed. So the Braves were able to beat the Dodgers after being up 3-2 or 3-1. Will things be the same? I think that the Braves have a really strong opportunity tonight with Max Fried on the mound. My concern is how well is that bullpen, because they had to go into that bullpen early on Sunday's game. Ended up costing them. But something that the Braves should be taken away from this game, from Game 5, is that just because you could get off to an early lead The Astros, never count them out. Just like the Dodgers, don't count them out until the 27th out is made. And I think that the Braves learned that lesson. So here's my calling. If the Braves, I believe that the Braves have a good chance on winning tonight. And I think they have their best chance on winning tonight. And if they do win tonight, obviously that's the end of story. If the Astros can force a game 7, I feel like the Astros have it all the way. I feel like then Houston, then Atlanta gets scared. It's like, oh, well, it's time to go home. You got yourself out to a comfortable lead to get yourself in a position where you can afford to lose again. You can't afford to lose 2, and you can't afford to lose 3. So I'm going Braves tonight. If the Astros prevail, I'm going Astros tomorrow. I really want the Braves to win. Couple news around the Major League Baseball world. Here we have the Mets GM has parted ways with New York. Zach Scott has been released of his duties as of yesterday. Obviously, earlier on this year, they're looking for a new skipper. Who are they going to bring in? It's going to probably be a 1-2 combination. GM and manager will probably come in together. There's been talks about who's going to come in. I'm not going to speculate those talks. I'm just going to walk around, listen to the reports and then fill in as necessary. Reason for that is because I've been much bigger on some other news going off. I am a West Coast native, and I bring to you my biggest fun topic to talk about is officially as of yesterday, the San Diego Padres are welcoming Bob Melvin to the Padres organization as a new Friar skipper, looking to take reins and control of this organization and this team. Obviously, this season there was a lot of things. They got off to a really good start, but it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And the Padres really got sloppy at the very end. They let go a handful of players, a handful of coaching staff, including Jace Tingler. I think the players really took it personal. The alter egos really carried away. So welcome Bob Melvin, a very declarative person, spent 10 years in Oakland, taking them to many playoffs opportunities. And he's also been a World Series champion as a bench coach for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Also managed up in Seattle. So he's a very well decorative, and I hear the reports coming out of San Diego. He's not just a good choice, not a great selection. He's a brilliant selection. I know the conversations were out there when they let go of the Jace Tingler. I know a lot of this entire postseason, San Diego's been talking about the possibility of guys like Bruce Bochy, Skip Schumacher, Juan Washington. I know that they interviewed Mike Schilt as a manager as well. I know even before Aaron Boone signed that 3-year contract, Aaron Boone was part of that conversation. And then some other guys like Will Venable, Mark Kotsay, Phil Nevin. A lot of those guys are in the conversation. We're in the conversation of the Padres. I think a lot of fans were swaying towards, hey, you really got to work on getting Bruce Bochy to come back. And then Bob Melvin comes out of nowhere. Well, listen, this was, apparently, and, AJ Preller, the GM for the Padres, really did this well. He didn't say a single word to the fans. Not one word. And that kind of works for his character. But I guess apparently, according to the, interviews yesterday, they've been talking for some time, for at least a couple of weeks. And long story short, and I don't know the logistics of it, so I'll give you the blame story, the no salt and pepper story here. Apparently, Oakland says, hey, listen, we're going to move in a different direction. And, if you want to start looking for a new team, we'll be open and willing to do so. Work with you with that. Best of luck. So it looks like Bob Melvin left on great terms with the Oakland A's. And the Padres got a really, killer deal. You think about it, the Padres signing Bob Melvin. Bob Melvin, I think, was making $3.7 million over in Oakland. And coming to a team that doesn't pay for anybody, they invested. I think he was probably one of the top staff members on the organization that was being paid. That's how much they were thinking of Bob Melvin. Bob Melvin comes over to San Diego, is getting paid more than Jace Tingler and Andy Green combined. And I think what I think is satisfying and what I really enjoy, and I hear this a lot, I think a lot of fans and a lot of, the broadcasters reporters coming out of San Diego really enjoys, is the fact that this is not a name that you have to look up on Wikipedia. No disrespect to Andy Green and to Jace Tingler, but when you hear about those guys, it's like, who are they? I didn't know who they were. You had to give them a chance. And obviously, I'm not saying that they wouldn't be future managers down in the future. But this is now you're bringing someone in that you know somewhere about. He's coached in other big leagues. He's managed in other big leagues. He also, the work ethic he has. He's taken them to the postseason, so he has postseason experience. He's looking back to he's looking to get back there again, if not get a World Series. He's very disciplined. He'll tell you straight up how it is. And he's going to work with people. He's going to listen to you, and he's going to tell you the truth. He's not going to sugarcoat anything, and I think that's what the Padres need. The Padres needed somebody that could take reins, and Bob Melvin's one of them. And after listening to the reports, after understanding that he took involvement into signing the new pitching coach Ruben Niebla, who has been nothing but remarkable comments coming out of Cleveland. Bob Melvin looks like the perfect fit for San Diego. So congratulations to Bob Melvin. As a Padres fan, I'm excited to see Bob Melvin out there on the field. I'm excited to see what he brings to the table, and hopefully the Padres can fix a 162 game season. So congratulations and welcome Bob Melvin to the San Diego Padres. Kind of got goosebumps. When I saw this report, I was like, man, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. How should I? Why should I believe it? So, we got World Series on tonight. We got Game 6. I know I'm going to be tuning into that one. That one's a must-see game. I really like I said, I'm rooting for the Braves. I got that feeling that if the Astros could pull away with Game 6, they have what it takes to make it all the way as well. So, we also got some NBA going on later on tonight as well. We got the Bucks over in Detroit taking on the Pistons. Miami Heat taking on Dallas Mavericks. The Kings and Jazz. Pelicans and Suns. Rockets and Lakers tonight at 10:30. After the Lakers beat the Rockets 2 days ago. they play again. Anyways, that is going to conclude our show today. You got NXT 2.0 later on tonight. You got Game 6 of the World Series as well. We got the final day of the NFL draft today. So that is still a good, something to follow, keep in mind. NBA, plenty of games going on tonight. All around. We will be back Thursday. Like I said, head over to our Facebook page if you want to join us. But we'll be back on Thursday with the pick the games and who is going to pick what team and what players. So, other than that, We'll be back a little later on. We got great episodes later on this week. We got Thursday, Friday, and then back with you again on Sunday. So until next time, this is Justin. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. And until Thursday, you guys have yourself a wonderful day.